Welcome to the Luxogen channel, the space where people go to get their fix in a Luxogen world of billionaires, luxury, finance, and inspirational fulfillment. Be sure to like, smash the notification bell, and subscribe to our channel, as we will be uploading Luxogen-rich videos frequently. Welcome back to Luxogen channel. Today's video will explore the history and humble beginnings of a certain brand of luxury handbags and apparels. This video will feature none other than Louis Vuitton and the rags to riches story of its humblest of inventors. The humble beginnings of Louis Vuitton as a top-selling luxury brand started in 19th century with a poor homeless teenager with only dreams of wealth and prosperity. He worked for artisans and craftsmen to earn barely enough money for food. Along the way, he learned valuable skills and began perfecting his craft that eventually led to the luxury branded handbags and luggage that have become so iconic the world over. Louis Vuitton was born and raised in Angers, France, to a farmer. During his time, France was still recovering from the Napoleonic Wars, and many farmers, like his father, fell upon hard times and bankruptcy was the only option for many. Louis did what he could for his family and worked on a family farm. He planted and harvested crops, managed livestock, and endured a hard life to survive. At 10 years of age, Louis' mother died and the struggles of life became even more intense. Louis' father remarried and he had to endure a stepmother who was not nurturing or supportive of Louis. She made Louis' life a living misery, and eventually, he reached the boiling point. And at 13 years of age, he quietly ran away from home and started a new life in Paris, France. With no money or food, Louis worked small jobs with artisans and craftsmen who taught him how to work with materials like metal, stone, fabrics, and wood. With barely enough money for food, Louis became homeless. He slept in a forest with only a coat to keep him warm. At the time, the first railway line to Paris had just opened. Travel became more accessible and the industry started to boom. Craftsmen capitalized on this by making custom boxes for aristocrats. They often traveled with paintings, instruments, and furniture and needed boxes that could fit and withstand long trips. They also needed help with packaging their belongings in a certain way to protect them from breaking. Since Louis learned some of the skills involved on his way to Paris, he decided to try and find work in the trade. A craftsman named Monsieur Marchal hired Louis as an apprentice. While Louis didn't earn much, his willingness to learn paid off in more ways than one. He became a favorite among Marchal's clients, and later, the Empress of France appointed him as her personal box maker. After working for the Empress for a year, Louis became more in demand and opened his first shop. Louis was innovative and came up with ideas for new products that changed the industry standard. At the time, traditional boxes were made with leather and were rectangular shaped. The lids were domed so that water would run off the top instead of soaking through the leather. This made the boxes impossible to stack and time-consuming to load. To tackle these problems, Louis experimented with new materials and settled on canvas. When compared to leather, canvas was lighter, durable, and more water-resistant. This allowed boxes to have simple flat lids, making them possible to stack and easier to load. And while waterproofing compounds made the color gray, it looks more clean and modern. Using canvas material, Louis created a slat trunk. His new product marked the birth of the modern luggage we all know and use today. While customers were skeptical of its advantages at first, its popularity took off within a few years and became known as an elegant and must-have accessory. During the same period, handbags were not popular and not embraced by society. Many people complained that they were inelegant, bulky, and would cause injuries to women. But Louis had a vision and believed his handbags had potential and started making them in canvas. They immediately took off in popularity, which created a demand for more styles so that women could pair them with different outfits. Eventually, Louis could not keep up and enlisted help from his son George. Like his father, George was also an innovator and developed new ideas that changed the industry standard. He invented a lock to turn trunks into literal treasure chests to prevent theft. The Vuitton product line became even more in demand. Then there was more misfortune for Louis at the height of his success when the Franco-Prussian War broke out and destroyed his business. Louis became homeless once again. The Vuitton family was forced to leave their home and workshop in Agnières on the outskirts of Paris and head back to the city. There, they lived as refugees in crowded and unsanitary conditions. Food was scarce and the Vuittons nearly starved to death. When the war finally ended, Louis and his family returned home only to discover that his materials were stolen and his workshop was destroyed. Louis used what was left of his savings to rebuild and find a new location for his shop. Fortunately, post-war property prices had dropped, providing an opportunity to re-establish his business. Louis made the most of the opportunity and purchased a shop in an upscale business district. Within months, business was thriving again and orders came in from all over the world. Louis was even determined to try new product ideas. At that time, technology had advanced to enable printed custom patterns on fabric. And since canvas is a fabric, Louis was able to create a line of trunks covered in a striped pattern. The new design took off immediately. It gave people a way to stand out and show how up-to-date they are. It also made it more difficult for counterfeits to copy Louis' work. Afterwards, Louis received so many international orders that he opened a shop in London. The expansion led to diversifying his clientele, which included more elite clients like royals and explorers. Eventually, Louis decided to release his first catalog to make ordering easy. It was a practical move that was bound to bring the business to new heights. But within that same year, unexpectedly, Louis died in his home at the age of 72, and the cause of his death remains a mystery. It was now up to George to take on his father's unfinished plans. George wasted no time in growing the business and traveled to the US to attend the World Fair. The experience made him realize that he needed an international sales network. And fortunately for him, he met someone at the fair who could help, John Wanamaker. John pioneered the concept of the department store and invented the price tag. After meeting George, he started selling LV in his New York department store. It became the first in the US to carry the brand. It was then that George created a monogram in memory of his father, a floral pattern with an interlocking L and V. Customers were shocked to see the monogram on products. They were used to only embellishing their own names or initials on bags. But eventually, times changed and the new design took off. From then on, George and his son Gaston continued to follow Louis' footsteps and created new designs. Noteworthy creations include a bag for everyday use, the Keepa, a bag to carry wine and champagne de nœud, and a redesign of a Coco Chanel commission, the Alm. By then, George had toured all over the US and built a distribution network. Like his father, he was bound to bring the business to new heights. But unfortunately, history repeated itself. He passed away, leaving Gaston to complete Louis' unfinished plans alone. Gaston was off to an unlucky start. The Second World War erupted and contracts were cancelled. Gaston had no choice but to shut down LV's factory and stores. In Louis Vuitton: A French Saga, the author claims that Gaston became so desperate to survive that he collaborated with the ruling party for Germany. Gaston allegedly gave the green light to produce commemorative busts and set up a shop in Vichy. The author also claims that while shops like Van Cleef and Herpels were shut down, LV was the only one allowed to stay open. A Louis Vuitton spokesperson later commented, "This is ancient history. We are diverse, tolerant, and all the things a modern company should be." After the war ended, Gaston tasked his sons Henry, Jacques, and Claude with rebuilding the company. With their father's guidance, the sons ensured new models of luggage were made each year. But after Gaston's passing, business stagnated. Hard-sided luggage became less popular. Henry, Jacques, and Claude were divided about how to run the company, so they asked their sister's husband, Henry Ragamere, to take over. By then, Henry had founded and sold a steel trading company for a large profit. He had a keen business acumen and pivoted LV from wholesale to retail and tapped into the Asian market. Within 6 years, LV sales soared from $20 million to over $260 million. It was around then that Henry took LV public. The company's stock sold out after more than 1 million shares were sold. 2 months later, LV's stock price started to fluctuate. Analysts warned that sales might fall since counterfeit goods were on the rise. Still, Henry forged ahead with opening stores all over the world. Within just a few years, he proved the analysts wrong. LV reached nearly $1 billion in sales and merged with Moet Hennessy, a champagne and cognac producer, to form a luxury goods conglomerate, LVMH. The goal of both companies was to prevent the threat of an outside takeover. While the merger allowed LV to expand its investments, Henry found himself embroiled in management disputes with Moet Hennessy's president, Alain Chevalier. In hopes of gaining control, Henry asked a property developer named Bernard Arnault to be his ally, who agreed. But soon after, Henry realized that Bernard had his own ambitions. Bernard secretly bought a controlling interest in LVMH for himself and gained support from the Moet and Hennessy families. Afterwards, a legal battle between Henry and Bernard ensued. The courts favored Bernard and forced Henry to step down. From then on, LV fell behind when compared to other luxury brands. It was considered a smaller business and sales plummeted. No journalist dared to speak highly of the brand. It wasn't until LV followed Louis' footsteps under the leadership of Yves Sarcel, who came up with a new and bold idea that changed things. The company invited designers such as Vivienne Westwood, Isaac Mizrahi, and Manolo Blahnik to create handbags using its monogram for its 100th anniversary. At the time, such collaborations were practically unheard of, and handbags weren't a thing in a world of luxury. Still, the collaboration was well received and put both LV and handbags back on the map. 1 year later, LV hired a designer named Marc Jacobs to be their creative director. Marc revitalized the brand by launching its first ready-to-wear line, designing its popular Vernis collection, and collaborating with high-profile artists, starting with Stephen Sprouse and Takashi Murakami. Since then, LV has expanded into watches, jewelry, and sunglasses, and continues to launch iconic bags. The company also continues to make everything in-house. Craftsmen must train for 2 years, and some pieces require 300 stages to assemble. Today, LV ranks as the #1 luxury brand in the world, and its value has topped $30 billion. We hope you enjoyed this inspiring story of how a poor homeless teenager turned his dreams into a modern-day billion-dollar legacy. Thank you for watching this exciting and informative video, and please comment down below on what you think about the origins of Louis Vuitton and its multi-billion-dollar brand. Be sure to stay tuned to the Luxygen channel, where we will feature more content about living life luxuriously and inspirational fulfillment. Don't forget that by liking this clip as well as subscribing within our channel, not only are you helping us grow, but also other people around the world.